Thank you for taking the time. We're here to talk about your website that we built together last year. Our first milestone was the brand redesign, and you had ambitious plans for the branding. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how that went and what we set out to do?
Yeah. So we had really tough requirements on you because we needed to develop a website and rebrand not only in-house, but also externally facing every marketing material. And of course, one of the first milestones then is to look at your branding and what can you do with it. And that's where you stepped in. And it was a tough timeline because everything needed to be ready in 6 months. So I guess rebranding also only had to take at least, 2 months or 3 months tops, right? And your team and you were wonderful, super flexible. You are great listeners, but you bring in your own mind and your own ideas without forcing it on the customer. And I think that was really the key, also to speed. And in a very, very short time, I would say, you remind me, but I think it was less than 2 months, we had a branding in our hands and we started to rebrand not only externally and developing the website with you, but also internally with the material.
Amazing. The next thing I remember is that we, of course, set out for the website architecture and then also the content, because the branding was one thing, but how we talked about the products was also going to be different on the new website. What do you remember about this work stream?
So to put things into context for people listening to this, there were three different product areas and we had to not only redesign, but also, like you say, from a content and also a marketing perspective, adjust the language and adjust how we speak to the customer. We have three teams, of which we took the best people who have the broadest knowledge on all of the products, to work with you. And like you said, the team seamlessly integrated with you. I would say they worked as one team really, during that whole phase. And I think that really was the secret also, the secret sauce, as they say, to the result that we have seen in a very short time. I don't think there was a lot of discussion in terms of we really don't like this or really don't like that. We really let you go with the team. And then you came back also from a leadership perspective to show what you had done. And I also think that, quite frankly, those things that didn't fit or that weren't the right messaging, we provided in a very short time together with you, also brainstorming with you and your team. So I think that in a nutshell, it really was the secret to making it in time, but also having the great output that we had.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. That was really like a wild ride. But we also had a lot of fun doing it. Final thing, maybe. How do you feel about the product now that it's online for almost a year?
Well, we love the website. It has generated us a lot of leads, right? That also was one of the key things that you work together with another agency that worked with us on the, I would say, lead optimizing of the website. So the whole digital marketing went along also from a strategic perspective, to grow the digital marketing, coming leads from the website. So we really loved the design. We loved how the website is interacting with the user. Where can you all, click? Where are the CTAs? Where can you leave your mark? What's the short messaging? Not too overloaded, very clear and structured. So all of that really was wonderful. What I do remember is a lot of Figma sites, a lot of Figma designs. I also
Yeah.
remember that you programmed really quick with the team. And I don't even know if it was 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we could see the first prototype and we already could give you instant feedback. So it wasn't like I'm used to other companies working in previous engagements that I had that really took a very long time until you could see something that is tangible. And that is really different with you and your team. So you just go into production and we could see something really quick and we could iterate from there. And the more we think, we can do things imagining and designing and drawing, but once you have it, it still
Yes.
changes, right? So you remember,
Absolutely.
when we were talking or the team was saying, oh, actually, this doesn't feel right and this click is too much, or we need to change that, or let's take it out. It's way too much, right? All of that really happened then when you had a first prototype, if I would say so, and you were
Yeah.
super quick. And I remember, slacking you, and the next day this was gone or it was changed. So this people also feeling for the speed of you and your team, right? So this is actually how we like to work too.
Yeah, I think there's a huge upside in this approach because, as you say, you can prepare so much. Like you can have the wireframes and all the architecture diagrams and the brand assets lying around, and you can have like meetings where everybody aligned, and then it's still the final thing all in one page, and you finally get to see it and use it on a phone and on your tablet at home, and then you're like, yeah, that was a good plan. But you
Exactly.
know what would be really better? So that's always the case. And to stay flexible in these scenarios, I think is super key because otherwise, yeah, you build up so much and then it's actually not what was expected or, like on this level that you can't really describe. Yeah. I mean, we really like what was fun for me and the team coding, like since we were working in parallel, like the content was also being built up while we were implementing stuff. So we kind of chucked a couple pages of placeholder content here and there just to get going. And then while we were coding, the content was updating at the same time.
I
Like I
remember.
was literally sitting here working on the hero stage or whatever, and suddenly it had a headline. I was like, cool, Celine is working. Yeah, that was really fun process and made like took responsive design to like kind of a new level because yeah, I was fiddling with this word and then suddenly it was gone. Yeah, and then I had to do something else.
Yeah, I mean, I would also say that your content management system is really great and easy and intuitive, right? So that also, and the whole setup around that, I think it took the team a minute to actually understand how it works, right? That's also key for creating the right content and for motivating people to do it in a fast time or to do it in a good quality.
Cool. Hey, at some point we even talked to a couple of your potential customers, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that was a fun experience for me because we do usability testing all the time, but that time around, I think it was a very special crowd because right, like you guys took the time to really source from your network to get someone qualified to talk about this website since the target group is relatively specific. How do you feel about that whole process?
So that's actually a great question because Relayr has customers in the industrial field. And that's also where I've worked plus 25 years, give or take. And that's a very different customer set in the B2B area than it is, of course, in the B2C or in the tech industry per se, right? So what we did, we took the time, like you said, and we sourced people from our network, from previous companies, but also from our customers to give you the opportunity, you and me, to actually have the interviews with them and to see, what do you like about the website once we had it ready in the very first prototype version that we felt comfortable with. And I strongly remember that both you and I went out there and said, okay, we got to change a few things here. It's really,
Yes.
they really think it in a different way. They really interact in a very different way, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we are too modernized or too different in our thinking, but it was engineers. It was a different way how they think about the products even and what they think the value proposition is or how we should position the product so they would feel that this is something they would even click on or be interested in, right? And I
Yes.
do remember a few funny interviews as well where you and I were coming out of it and saying, okay, this is really not what we would have thought,
Exactly.
describing or saying. So there was another, I would say, phase in the project where we had to change the website yet again. So one was sitting on the couch saying, okay, this is not how I anticipated it. And then we ask a few customers again and, okay, see,
Yeah.
we got to change some more.
Totally. I think, as you mentioned, the this setting in this very specific industry was also super new for me because, like, we came in with I think with this angle from, having worked with tech startups or like softwares as a service and all this sort of thing, right? Where always the angle is to be as quick and as short as possible, so like people get a chance to really understand quickly. And then there was this crowd who was really interested in the details of the product,
Yes.
and that was like an absolutely new thing that we didn't, like, I didn't realize during concept um, that we should be going this deep, and that
Yeah.
it's actually, it was absolutely the opposite of what I expected. And yeah, I think we changed so much about how we talked about the product, and also like the hero section, like we had these elaborate plans to say this and that, and you get so much return on invest and whatever. And they were all like, yeah, yeah, please tell us how the product works first. So
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Yeah, I remember that too. And I mean, maybe that is to the engineering mind or the industrial sector per se, but there was a lot of how does it work? Show me how does it work? I don't want your ROI calculator or telling me, how much money you can make me. I want to understand how it works. And then I want to understand how can I come together with you fast to see how it works in my environment, right? And then I will do
exactly,
all the calculations. You don't need to do it for me, right?
exactly.
So it's a little bit different to what you would imagine, in other industries. That's true.
Exactly, yeah. So that was like it was a really interesting project, and I'm very happy to hear that it still holds up, and you're satisfied with the results.
And what I would say is, let's see what the next adventures are. But this website certainly, as you said, can run for a few years because it
Yeah,
is designed and drafted very well.
cool.
All right.
Thank you again for taking the time. This was really super helpful for us, and yeah, too many more of these.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you,
All
Christina.
right, Niels.
Ciao.
Bye.